Hi, sir. Thank you both so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it.
No,
So
thank you for
I
having us.
Yeah, 100%.
I just want to say at the start, I am from Yorkshire in England, and we do have quite a strong accent. It's the exact same accent as House of Stark in Game of Thrones. All of those actors are from the area that I'm from, so we tend to talk quite fast. So I'm making a conscious effort to talk a lot more slowly and clearly. So
No,
I
I
hope
mean,
you
yeah,
can understand me.
understand you
Uh,
perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely likewise.
Perfect. So if you can just say who you are and like what you do.
Sure. I'm Jake Jarvi. I wrote and directed the movie Haunt Season.
Amazing.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Adam Hinkle. I am an actor and I played Danny in Haunt Season.
Perfect. Thank you. So, Jake, can you just give us a little insight into your history of being a horror lover?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I horror was kind of off limits to me growing up. It wasn't something that I was allowed to really get involved with, but I always kind of gravitated toward and being terrified of it. I kind of gravitated towards the just the scarier stuff. Like I remember like really loving Return to Oz. I loved the Monster Squad. Since that was a movie with kids in it, I was allowed to, it was a kids movie technically, so
Hmm.
I that's when I had access to and seeing all the monsters and to my mind the best looking version of those monsters that has ever existed is in the Monster Squad. But and the Garfield like Halloween special, like these are the early touchstones. Um and then I didn't actually get into like horror, like hardcore horror until I was working in a video store and had unfettered access to everything on the shelves. And then I kind of started. I thought I only liked the supernatural stuff, and I thought slashers were for chumps, and like I thought slashers were just like, no, that's not real movie making. That's just like cheap for blah 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 whatever. And then I started, um, you know, started watching The Nightmare on Elm Streets, and I was like, oh no, this is the good stuff. This is the real stuff. This is what I'm looking for. And then slashers have been like my actual favorite subgenre since. But yeah, didn't have access. The video store granted me access, and just I started tearing through it.
Amazing.
All
What?
right. Well, I guess my introduction to horror was, and it's so funny because Jake mentioned a couple titles that I absolutely watched when I was really young, like Return to Oz and Monster Squad
Hmm.
were absolutely up there. But I think the moment that I discovered horror, it's like there are a couple of different ways that it happened. I remember being in my local video store and when I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio as a kid. Well, technically Westchester. And I remember seeing the Nightmare on Elm Street VHS boxes on the shelf and just thought that they looked so creepy. Like the cover art on those 80s movies, like the VHSs were just like they were just so creepy and so awesome to look at. And
And you could not imagine having not had access to them. You look at those and you're like, what could that possibly be? There's no that it's got to be the most intense, most freaky thing in the entire world. Yeah, those boxes were gateway.
yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. And then I absolutely this is the first time that I think I had seen like little bits and pieces of Aliens when I was a kid because my dad had it taped on VHS. But the first full movie that I had seen was when I was about 6 or 7, and it was Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So I went,
Oh, wow.
this is just, this late 80s, or it might have been 89 or 1990. And my next door neighbor had Nightmare 3 on VHS, and she invited
Ah,
me over to go watch it. And like maybe 5 minutes into the movie, when Kristen is like running, through like Freddy's house, and she gets like her feet caught in blood, her dad caught us and told us to turn the TV
oh.
on. And then I can't remember if this was weeks or months later, but we managed to go back to her house and watch the movie in full with her older sister. And it really just had a huge, profound effect on me. I remember like being in my backyard not long after the movie ended and just staring at like the sidewalk, like the little steps leading up to my back door, just being like, I was so shocked by what I had seen that I was just like, I just I did it was not a good feeling, but it was definitely because I had visions of that movie in my head for like years after that. And I think I revisited them maybe like a few years later and started really like getting into scary movies a bit more, like watched, all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, got those on VHS, started getting the Friday the 13th movies on VHS. So it was a little traumatic how I started becoming a horror fan, but I'm okay now.
So you say. What
So
about you? What about you, Spooky?
Yeah, I just want to say I don't know if it's because I'm a little bit younger than you guys. I was born 97, and obviously I'm from England as well. So I don't know if it's like a cultural thing, but for us, it's quite common for a lot of kids to watch horror movies quite young.
Oh,
I think a big part of that might be because DVDs became popular when I was younger. So when you'd go to your friends' houses for sleepovers and stuff, you would just steal DVDs off the parents, like you guys probably would have done with VHS and things. But maybe because the internet and stuff as well, it was just a lot more accessible. So I've been a fan of horror since I was like 6 years old. My dad had a let me know if you're scared kind of policy. So we'd put movies on and he'd say, if you get scared, let me know, we'll turn it off. And I just never got scared. Weirdly, there are some children's movies and stuff that I was creeped out at, so E.T.,
yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth. Like the thing in Pan's Labyrinth is horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Return to Oz as well. That had some scary parts. Even the original Wizard of Oz, that's some really scary cinematography. And yeah, I just started watching horror movies. I started with Stephen King's classics, It, Carrie, Christine, Sleepwalkers, which I think is a very underrated and odd Stephen King movie, but I love
Oh,
it.
yeah. That movie's weird, man. Yeah. Mick
Hmm.
Garris. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it escalated. So I watched Rob Zombie's House of 1000 Corpses, and I just fell in love with the editing style. My boyfriend hates all the weird snippets and random music parts. It's more like a music video, but I love it.
I think it's his best one.
I agree.
I've watched everything since, and there's just something about that first one that has so much joy and
Hmm.
experimentation in it, and it's also the only one where the main characters actually like each other and talk to each
Yeah,
other with like a little bit of like niceness. Like the whole rest
literally
of the yeah.
his movies just get like darker and I suppose more serious. And it's like a known thing that Rob Zombie kind of hates House of 1000 Corpses now and he doesn't like to associate with it. But I'm like, it was fun. That's why I love 80s movies the most because they were fun.
Yeah, agree. Hard agree. The lightness and funness of like having fun with horror is something that like kind of is not in vogue right now. It's more about
Hmm.
intensity or like
Social
trauma.
commentary.
Yeah, social
Yeah.
commentary. And there's fun stuff in there too. Like Get Out
Hmm.
is social commentary, but it's still a really fun movie.
Yeah.
Um, like Jordan Peele actually can kind of bridge the gap, I think. His stuff
Hmm.
actually is both commentary and like really fun. And he does it with the characters. The characters are what make it fun. But that was Rob Zombie too. Like I listened to so many interviews with that guy. He's fascinating. He's on so many podcasts talking about like how much agony it is to make studio movies. Like making the first
Hmm.
Halloween, his first Halloween was like just the worst experience for him that had to be talked into doing Halloween too. And they just kept like the Weinsteins treated him like garbage that entire time. There's a four
Hmm.
hour making of that
Oh
Halloween. You
wow.
can find it on YouTube. It's great.
I'll definitely check it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
the House
Um,
of a Thousand Corpses, he had a problem. Well, he didn't have a problem too, but he mentioned in a documentary that it was a Universal film. Like it was shot on their back
mhm.
lot. It was like 100% a Universal movie. And then like the executives saw it and they were like, it was not, I think, what they expected. And so because he was like he was like movies are kind of like real estate and it was kind of like a piece of real estate that nobody wanted. So it had allowed him to sort of like buy back the movie. So I think he owned all of like the rights to it because
Yeah.
it, they just weren't interested in the movie, I think, at a certain point. So I think that's
Yeah, they
why he,
shelved it. And
Yeah.
he like
Yeah,
that's why all
there's
those like home video stuff is shot like in his garage and stuff with like just Bill Moseley and Sherry, you know? And I
mhm,
think Sherry like I actually think Sherry was very good in Monsters as well. I think she did a really
mhm.
good job like putting on like a really body character, but I like Sherry. She's fantastic, but never better than in House of a Thousand Corpses. She like the first time we
Absolutely.
met Baby was the best.
Yeah. There's like entire scenes and chunks of the movie that have never seen the light of day, and they don't even know where they are because the movie was like shelved and stopped so many times. Is actually releasing a book later this year that's going to
Oh,
have like all the behind the scenes shots, like pictures and his original artwork and storyboards and stuff.
that's
I'm so
awesome.
excited for that to release.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
So, following on from this, is there any specific directors or actors within the horror genre that have influenced you both in your careers, starting with Jake?
Um, yeah. I mean, so like I like bringing it back to the OGs. I mean, Wes Craven is I think
Hmm.
he's a guy who like captured a lot of the fun of horror, you know, from the nightmares and especially the screams. Like I adore the Scream series.
Absolutely.
The first
My
Scream is
cat's called Scream. Sorry, just to
I
say.
love that. I love that you just call it Scream. Not even a
Yeah.
character from the not
N-
Sydney, not it's Scream.
no, I've got two cats. One of them's called Salem, and the other one's called Scream.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, so Wes, and then I've been trying to like think more about the modern horror directors that I love, and of course, I mean, it's Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan is
Oh,
just
God.
absolutely incredible. Like like Oculus is one of the best modern horror movies, and I know it's already kind of getting up there in age already, but like that movie is so incredible. The best of psychological like ghostly horror, you know? So
Hmm.
Mike Flanagan for sure. And I mean, hard to beat John Carpenter, you know, all the stuff that kind of like that, those wide Carpenter frames, you really wanna try to emulate and capture. And but yeah, so like Adam Wingard is someone else too. He did a movie called The Guest. He did a movie called A Horrible Way to Die, and he did the Blair Witch remake, which is actually much maligned, and I think is way better than people talk about it. Um, but yeah, so Wingard, Flanagan, Craven, Carpenter.
Amazing.
man, Jake, you got some good ones, man. I don't know how I can come up with
How do
some.
you top that?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I actually got to talk to Wes Craven too. Like, I wanted this short film
Wow.
contest that he was judging for the radio, and I got to get on the phone with him like a couple of years before he died, and it was the just the absolute. I was just like couldn't. I was so like almost speechless that I got to
Hmm.
like trade a few words with the guy, and that he watched 30 seconds of something that I did made my year. You know.
Hmm.
Sorry, Wes Craven aside.
No, I think he's a great one. I mean, 100%. I would say Wes Craven is, easily one of the greatest. You got and John Carpenter obviously up there. And think, in terms of newer horror directors, like I would say Jordan Peele has had, I mean,
Oh
an
yeah.
run with horror
Hmm.
and just, what he's been able to do, and just in terms of just like elevating, the genre in certain ways that weren't done before. And then I would say in terms of performers, you know, there are so many great performances in horror. It's if I was to like narrow down some that really had big effects on me, I would probably have to say, I mean, Robert Englund, he's indelible in the genre.
Yeah.
And probably, Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter is easily one of the greatest. And not necessarily a horror film, but a really scary performance that really affected me when I was younger was Edward Norton in Primal Fear. That
Oh.
just like a
Hmm.
scary good performance.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm trying to think which other ones are really, really solid. Oh
I
man,
mean, you gotta. I'm sorry, I keep bringing it back to Scream, but like Matthew Lillard in
yeah.
Scream
They were
is
they were on the tip of my tongue. Like,
Hmm.
right before you said that, I'm like, I have to say, I think Billy and Stu are probably some of the like some of just the more fun villains and more fun performances I think in horror that I think absolutely deserve their due. I mean, I think Matthew Lillard in that role, like that was really the first, well, at least one of the first times that I remember seeing, a performance that it was improvised, that had improvised moments that I didn't really understand were
Hmm.
improvised. It just seemed it was just so funny and things just and it wasn't until years later that I was like, oh God, there's a reason why that was just it was so brilliant. It was just so off the cuff and natural. And I thought, my God, that was just such a well done performance. But I think I remember listening to the commentary for Scream and listening to Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven talk about like the lines that were improvised. I was like, oh my God, that was brilliant. Like
Yeah.
so
Hmm.
good. So yeah, absolutely. I think Matthew Lillard deserves his due for, like all-time
Yeah.
performances.
It's interesting. You talk mostly about villains, my man. I guess it's the genre for it, but you talk mostly about villains. Yeah.
I was gonna say Billy and Stu are the original lovable psychopaths, but I would also describe Danny as a lovable psychopath. I'm not gonna lie. I
Same.
I actually met Bill Moseley at a convention last year, and it was amazing. I was crying getting his autograph. But he was signing a picture of Otis Driftwood, and he asked me, "What quote would you like?" And I said, "Who's your daddy?" And he just did a real cheeky little like giggle, and he was like, "Yeah, that's a good one." And I was like, "Oh my god, this man knows that I'm thirsting over him, and he's like much older than me, but it's fine." And yeah.
He's great. I saw him at the Music Box here in Chicago back in February with my brother because they were doing a screening of Texas Chainsaw 2. So
Hmm.
it was really, he's just like such a down to earth guy. Like he just seemed like a really,
It's
really
so
great
sweet.
fellow. Yeah.
It's so wild that he ended up being not just Chop Top, but like the what's his character name in the Rejects House of a Thousand?
Oh,
Otis.
Jesus.
Otis. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
like
Otis
him
Driftwood. Yeah.
getting into that character is like I mean that's like the most vile one of the most vile humans ever depicted, especially in that
Hmm.
first one. Um and hearing him talk about it on the behind the scenes and everything, he was like you know, like a Christian. He like a God-fearing man in real life who would just put on Otis anytime Rob Zombie
Hmm.
was like, "Yo, let's go, Bill," you know?
Yeah.
And just I can't imagine that kind of dichotomy, you know?
I don't know if you've seen Reaper the Genetic Opera. It's an
Oh yeah.
amazing musical, and he's in that as Luigi Lago, and that is such a stark contrast because he's in a nice crisp suit, but it's still the same Bill Moseley just shouting that people aren't getting his coffee right and flinging coffee at people, and it was just spawned to play villains and bad guys.
Yeah. He's incredible.
Hmm.
So moving on to some specific questions around Haunt Season, which I believe is your directorial debut,
Yeah,
and it released
in
in
terms of features.
2024. Mm-hmm. So where did the idea for Haunt Season come from?
Yeah, so I also work for a YouTuber named Rob Scallon. He's a music YouTuber, and that's my main job. And
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to film a really gnarly like metal music video, and he knew this guy Steve who had a haunted house. And so we went and shot a music video there, and I started talking to Steve, and we started talking about horror movies that we liked, and he is a House of a Thousand Corpses guy too. He likes the more fun side of horror, and we talked a lot about
Mm-hmm.
the 13 Ghosts remake from the early aughts, and I just love that movie too. It's like so much fun, such kinetic energy. The makeup's incredible, and
Again, Matthew
um,
Lillard.
Hmm.
yeah, again, yeah, absolutely. And anytime they had Matthew Lillard, I was like, I'm gonna watch it. Like if
Mm-hmm.
he's in it, I'm gonna watch it. Um, and he was like, yeah, you do this video stuff. I have this stuff. I've done, I've got a history in production myself. Why don't we just make one of these? And I was like, great. And I just went off and I wrote a slasher movie that took place in a haunted house. I was like, I finally get to make my horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
If I only get one, I want to make it a slasher because it could have been anything. We could have done any kind of haunted house movie. And haunted house slashers are, you know, there are a bunch of them. So it's not like we were creating any new ground, but I wanted to I wanted to do a slasher if we were only going to get to do one. So once he was like, "Yeah, let's do it here," I thought, we see in these haunted house movies, we see a lot of people coming into the haunted house, and our characters are like just normal folks going to a haunted house for the night, and then all hell breaks loose. And I was like, I want to spend more time with the people making the haunted house. So that kind of we approach the world from more the behind the scenes side. Kind of
Hmm.
like Hell House LLC does too. Like you're following the creators of the Hell House. But I also wanted to just like have a range of characters with a range of backgrounds that all kind of like were drawn to, creating a world and a character. Um, just like, filmmakers and
Yeah.
getting the behind the scenes view of like what it takes to put on a big production like a haunted house was interesting to me. And then just have some masked killer slashing their way through all the people we've come to like is just really, really tempting.
Hmm. You've literally stolen one of my questions. It was gonna be because I'm a big fan of like the haunt sort of genre. So like Funhouse Massacre's one of them, of course, Haunt that came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Like I just love it as a genre. Like they're always the most fun movies. And I was gonna say what influenced your choice for it to be more of a behind the scenes, because as you said, all the others you're following a protagonist that's coming into this setting,
Yeah.
whereas your characters are already there, that they have no reason to fear the setting because they're there all the time. So it's
Yeah.
just such a juxtaposition that instead of someone coming into it, they're already there where the threat is, and I love that.
Yeah, and it also just like the fact that it is such a seasonal job, and I mean, I didn't have much perspective on what it was like to be working in a haunt then when I wrote the movie, and I've come to know it much more. I haven't actually worked in the haunt, but keep telling me I need to come do a
Hmm.
night like in makeup at the haunt, and I just don't, they're really punk rock about that stuff, and I'm happy to run through with a camera and film everything that's going on for their
Hmm.
advertisements and stuff, but. Um, I've come to know more about the behind the scenes world of haunting uh since then, and it's just such cool people. They have a little bit of that dark smirk to them at all
Hmm.
times, a little bit of like a quirky sense of humor, obviously macabre.
Hmm.
And it's I don't know, they're just my kind of people. It's just really, really fun to see them put on the show, you know?
Yeah. So, Adam, did you have any history of working in haunts or scare acting, or how did you prepare for the role of Danny?
I didn't have a lick of experience. This was a trial by fire for me. So I like essentially I had just gotten all of my I it happened. It was so interesting how it happened because Jake and I were friends for about 5 years before we started filming, and so the way I got involved with with the film essentially was I follow him on YouTube and I watch all of his all of his videos that he uploads, and he had one that was basically announcing that he's doing a feature and it's a horror movie, and I was like, I'm intrigued. Let me see what's this all about. And the story just sounded awesome. Like it just sounded so cool. And I was like,
Absolutely.
I, I feel kind of weird. Jake's my buddy, but I'm like, I'm just gonna submit and see what he says. And he messages me not long after I like submit all of my info for for an audition. I submitted a couple a reel and my headshot. And he's like, dude, you submitted for my movie. And I'm like, yeah, it looks fucking cool. And so he was like, all right, man. And so he let me come in for to read for Danny, and I thought that went really well. He and Eliza were both conducting a Zoom audition, and things were like really great and really sweet. And he's like, so we're gonna be having like callbacks around like this time. I'm like, all right, great, cool. That's awesome to hear. And so like a bunch of time goes by, and I was like, he's probably thinking about other people for this role. And so I was like, okay, maybe next time. And then he lets me know that I have a callback, and I was like, oh shit, this is great. Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh.
And so I have the call back at this local theater here in Chicago, and I think it was during Pride, I believe. So it was just like kind of it was kind of a rough day to actually get to the audition, and then
Yeah, it was poorly planned on our part. We didn't know that the Pride Parade was going on that day, and we rented a theater for callbacks that was like right on the route. So like getting to and from like everybody coming to callbacks had a really tough time getting there that day.
Oh,
yeah.
But you were the only one who was early.
Yeah, and because I was so early, Jake actually read with me. He's like, "Hey, while you're here, why don't we just like, just like run through it?" And we ran through it, and eventually Steve showed up, and he and I were both reading together one of the Danny Bradford scenes.
mhm.
And well, actually, I think before he walked in, I did this huge monologue that happens like later on in the movie, and I had worked this monologue like so many weeks. I had like just I've been up on my roof just like screaming this mon I'm sure they probably thought there was a crazy person up, at the top of my building, but I was like I really wanted this role so badly. And so
You were probably put on some watch lists.
yeah, probably. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I like worked it and worked it and worked it, and then I did that for Jake, and he was like, "Oh, like he and Eliza were both in the room, and they seemed to like it." And then he gave me like a little note, and I adjusted, did the monologue again. Then Steve shows up, and then we do the Bradford and Danny scene, and I'm just like, I'm on the script, and he just walks in, and I think he's a little discombobulated because he just walked into the room, and he has to like throw down and do the Bradford stuff, and so he's like falling over a couple of lines, and I'm just like needling him like a little bit, and just like throwing out like a little, like semi improvised line here or there, and I just felt so bad. I feel like, God, this guy must think I'm obnoxious because I'm just like bombing him with stuff. But it was a lot of fun, and he was really great, and he was a good sport about it, and I just felt really good about the audition. It was just so much fun. And then, I was lucky enough, like a matter of weeks later, I was on set for another film, and Jake calls me, and he's like, "Hey, man, I just want to give you a call, and like, just wanted because you're my friend. I just wanted to,
Mhm.
to let you know." And I'm in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Oh, he's turning me down. He's doing the real
Oh,
friend move, and he's like letting me know that it's probably not in the cards this time around because he's just a really decent guy." And I was like, "All right, cool." And he's like, "Dude, do you want to make this fucking movie?" And I was like, "What? Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." He was like, "I really liked your audition tape, but I wasn't sure if my friendship with you was, a bias, that I
mhm,
wasn't able to see beyond." And so he showed my tape to a couple of other people that he trusted, and he was like, "Hey, do you, like I really like Adam. Like, what do you think?" And they were like, "Oh yeah, he's got to be Dan."
mhm,
It was sweet that he did all of that due diligence, to make sure that he was making the right role in casting. And I just really appreciated that about him as a director that he
I had to do the other way too, man. I did have to call because you weren't my only friend that submitted to audition. So like I had to do the actual call where I was like, "I'm so sorry.
oh,
we're ending up going with somebody else this time." And so getting to kind of tip the hat that way towards you, like and then flip it where you did get it was very, very nice to be able to do as well because it's a bummer, man, when you like have people who do a great job, but for this reason or that reason, or it goes to somebody else that time, and it just sometimes it's just about getting a group of people together that has the correct energy to bounce off of each other, and it's like um Kieran Culkin actually is the one he's like it doesn't you can go in and do whatever you want in an audition, but it's really not about you. It's whatever the project needs, you know? And you are what this project needed, my man.
so
Like I
so
cannot
grateful.
imagine I cannot imagine anybody else being Danny. You got the light, you got the dark. It's just so fun.
I mean,
definitely the perfect choice.
you all are so sweet. I'd hug you all up. But yeah, I didn't have any experience in any way, shape, or form being a haunt actor. It really just kind of learned through osmosis as we went along in filming. And I remember one of the first times that I think it was when I saw Brad when he was doing his walk in the movie, like rallying the group before they go out to the haunt for the first time. I was like, "Oh shit. Like that's a fucking haunt actor right there." He was like so good. He
Mhm.
was so electrifying, and he just like it he took up like the whole space, like the whole room with like his energy and his voice. It was really impressive. And I was like, man, woo, I don't know if I got I'm no
It
I'm
does give
no
off proper ringmaster vibes, like in his outfit, and
Yeah,
yeah.
we did not plan that. We didn't plan it that way but it was, I think it was really helpful that when the entire group scenes were finally scheduled, it was before we had done any like haunt actor stuff. We had done a bunch
Hmm.
of kill scenes and a bunch of character stuff, but like not like actors in the haunt, and getting a group of people that we cast together and then having Steve do that right out the gate, like I kind of think set the tone for like everybody else being like, oh, okay, so this is about being big. It's about being bombastic. You got to get out there and get in people's faces. And like, because of, like Adam, a bunch of the other actors had never had no haunt experience either. We had one actor who played Rosemary, who we cast, who we found out later had been worked in haunts before, and then ended up
Hmm.
working at Realm of Terror, the haunt we used in the movie that same year. Like
Hmm.
we wrapped her out. We killed, we killed her, and then she came back and put on a costume and started haunting at Realm. But yeah, I think it was really lucky without planning to that we set it up that Steve was able to show people like how big and how bold their haunt actor choices should be, you know?
Yeah. On the flip side of the conversation of big, throughout the movie, specifically at the beginning, there are quite a few short jokes directed at Danny. Is that you
Oh,
having a dig at a friend, or were those already going to be there?
the thing is,
I noticed a couple.
I think all that stuff was in the script and it wasn't written for Adam. So
Hmm.
I think the important thing is that, okay, so just putting this out there, this is a spoiler conversation, right? We're gonna be
Yeah.
spoilers out here, which is great. So if you haven't seen Haunt Season and you're in the UK, it's currently playing on with a Prime subscription. You can just watch it, or you can get it on Apple TV. I just want to just watch to see where we're playing in the UK. And if you're in the US and checking this out, we're on a ton of apps you can get right now. I like Tubi,
Yeah.
I like Plex. Check them out. We're everywhere. Haunt Season.
I've also got to be in the UK.
Oh, okay. But I'm
We
not
do
sure.
also have it.
Are we on Tubi?
I have
I think
seen it
so. I
on
searched it
there.
the other
Okay.
Yeah.
day and I saw
Yeah.
Well,
it.
no, I know we're on US Tubi. I didn't know because we have a different distributor in both places. We have a US distributor and we have a UK distributor. So
Hmm. Yeah, I'm
they're
sure I've
determining
definitely
where.
seen it.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so you don't even have to have this, like that's free. Just go watch us on
Hmm.
Tubi, then come back because we're getting into spoilers. Spoilers. There's not many spoilers in Haunt Season, but this is the spoiler. Okay, so
Hmm.
um, to me, so much in the slasher genre, so many of the killers are like these huge, like hulking, imposing guys, and which is great. I mean, like even in A Violent Nature, which just came out. I don't know if you guys watched that one. I loved that. I loved
Yeah.
seeing from the killer's perspective, spending all that time with this thoughtless killer just kind of like hulking his way through the entire thing. And he's just a big guy too. That's just part of the
Hmm.
genre. And in the real world, it's guys who look like Adam and me. We're the ones who go psycho and shoot up a place, you know? Like it's small, ignored people who like get infected with an ethos and then impose their will on the unsuspecting world, all right?
Hmm.
And I wanted that in our movie. I wanted the slasher killer to be somebody who is just like you wouldn't suspect him, you know? Here he comes. And Billy and Stu had that too, you know? They're just like a couple of suburban boys, you know? And then when they turn on the switch, the thing that was important to me is that when Adam turned the switch, which you were so good at, that he didn't go all of the Scream villains when the switch turns, they get really theatrical, you know? And
Hmm.
Danny can do that because he's talking to a haunt line, you know? He's supposed to be big and theatrical like that, but he also, I just wanted him to bring it down and talk about his reasons, just like it sounded so rational. Tonight I get to be who I've always meant to be. You know, like he's like
Hmm.
he got to like it's just a person who's determined to kill you. You know?
Yeah.
And So I always knew I wanted it to be someone who wasn't super big and hulking and like just an average normal sized person, you know?
A more realistic villain for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and he's got a lot of theatricality because he's a haunt actor, but like
Hmm.
but to for him to and his reasons are bizarre and like all ethos based, which is what I'm much more interested in than like, I know most slashers are revenge stories, right? Like vengeance, here it comes. You wronged me, you wronged someone I love.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
no, please.
literally put in my letterboxd review. I love how fast the killer reveal is because the Scream franchise and, as you say, a lot of things in the slasher genre, there's a big lead up to who it is. It's revealed in a massive dramatic way. And then they do a spiel of, I'm doing this because society's done this to me and because of you, and you. Whereas
Yeah.
this was so simple. Like the guy was in the wrong room at the wrong time. Like he literally walks in where he shouldn't have been. And it's like, yeah, I'm the killer. I'm gonna kill you now. Like I love that. That was so refreshing as a viewer.
See, and so to me, a lot of people come to slashers too because of the formula, and it's like a comforting formula. And you're gonna watch a bunch of people, hang out, get killed one by one, and then at the end, there's gonna be this killer reveal. And I just wanted to kind of upend things a little bit here and there. Not a big hulking killer. I wanted to not have it be vengeance based. I wanted to
Hmm.
have the killer pop out, and then we spend time with our characters, knowing the characters that we like, the group of girls, we call them the Fab Four behind the scenes. Like
Hmm.
they don't know, but we do know at that point. And then it becomes more of like well, what's he gonna do to them, you know?
Yeah.
And it just was like I watched these movies all the time. I just wanted to do my little twist on it if it was gonna be my only chance, you know?
Hmm.
And and I just really loved the way that everybody played it, and I loved the way that it turned out. So yeah, man, you did a great job.
Hey man, couldn't
Yeah.
have been there without an awesome writer director. So, that goes both ways.
What was it
So
like?
all
Do you mind if I interject with a question
yeah, of
for
course.
Adam? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you watched these movies forever. You watched them younger than I did. You never thought you were going to end up getting to play like a killer in a slasher movie. What was it like then going from the fan side of it to actually performing kills in a movie? Like what was that? What was it like to experience it? Because I didn't get to do it. You only got to do it. So, what was it like being the killer in a horror movie?
It was a few things. I mean, it was exhilarating. It was also real exhausting, just because it's very physical. We had a lot of physical, kills that I had not, I hadn't really done stuff that worked like that before. And then it was also just really just trying to creep people the fuck out, just with like the way I held myself, the way I moved, like I just so it's just trying to find that, I don't want to be corny or anything, but just really trying to find those places where I can just live in like the darkness or a bit, so trying to get there and also stay in that space was kind of an interesting experience and also like a bit of a challenge at times, because we were doing, again, like with filmmaking, you do everything out of order. Like the first things that I shot were all as the killer, which I feel like were a big help, because then as we
Hmm.
ramped up to Danny, I had this sort of like, I guess, momentum in a way. It's funny because when the killer reveal was the first shot that I did unmasked as Danny. I didn't do any Danny scenes before that one. So
Oh wow.
that was the and I that was actually kind of weird because I almost felt like I kind of felt safe under the masks, because you couldn't see my face. So I felt very like free, but all of a sudden the mask was off and I started feeling a little like self-conscious when I first started, being Danny. But yeah, it was really those few things, with the exhilarating piece of it, the exhausting piece, and then just really like just trying to really chew and enjoy like the darkness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we had to, because of our makeup artist schedules, we had to start with every kill. Like
Hmm.
except for the bowling alley stuff, that we had to do at the very end of the movie, but like all of the other character kills kind of like happened early in production. And I remember, like you said, we just hadn't gotten to characters talking yet. It was people moving around and then like trying to get away from the killer. And so
Hmm.
when we got to you and Bradford, we were prepping the chainsaw arm gag in the one half of this. We were shooting in a semi trailer. So two of those sets, the green set and the red set, were in the back of a semi trailer connected so that we could, get a saw through the wall at one point. And they were prepping the arm gag in the green room, and so we could do the Steve and Adam scene in the red room. Um, and it was such a relief to get to dialogue, man. To hear you guys
Hmm.
talking to each other and get some time with you living in characters and conversation. That's like my most that's I love that stuff. So like getting to finally get to dialogue like 4 days into shooting was such a relief.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was fun to get there. It took a little getting used to. And that scene and that to me was an important scene. I mean, that's when everything just, you flip a switch in that moment. So I was really happy with, as we were going along and doing the takes, you were like, you guys are doing great. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And I was just like, oh, good. That was a nice little, I was able to breathe a little sigh of relief. I did that a few times on set, and I will have to say, Jake, I think I think that my performance is strong because Jake was such a nurturing presence on that film.
Hmm.
Because, getting started, you just don't know. And I'm not behind the camera. You just don't know how things are coming across. And I remember like I think it was like on our first it was like after our first kill, like actually, I'll take it back a little bit. So when Jake and I were having conversations leading up to production, because we weren't able to do an actual reading, so he contacted all of the actors and just had like a conversation if that's what they wanted to do. So he and I were talking like Danny and killer stuff, and I was like, "What is there that you don't want out of a killer, in these movies?" And he's like, "I really don't like the head cock." Like the Michael Myers head cock. He's like, it's been way played out at this point, and it's just not a scary
Hmm.
tool to me anymore. And so I was like, okay, good. I made that mental note. And my first day on set, I did like I held like this little sickle that I was using to like
Anna.
intimidate Anna. And
Yeah.
after we got done with one take, he's like, "You, sir, are a fucking psycho." He's like, "You basically did a head cock without it being a head cock with this
Hmm.
sickle." And I was like, "Oh, all right, good." So that at least like we started off on like a footing where I was like, "Okay, I feel like I'm giving him what he's looking for, and this is kind of like, okay, this is good. We're in a good spot here." I would have to say, the performance is good. It's because Jake really did help steer me in the right direction, gave me like the confidence where I feel like I needed to, and also pulled me back when it was necessary. Because there were times where I did go a little off, like a little half cocked at times. And he was like, "No, that's a little too much. I don't think we need to take Danny in that extreme of a direction. It's not very, doesn't feel very Danny-ish." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So he did a
Hmm.
really good job moderating some of my more base worse impulses and really pushing me in the direction that like where that I needed to go to. So I really got nothing but gratitude for Jake for all of
You
I
this.
don't
love
have to
that.
always you don't always have to throw it back in this direction, man.
Hmm.
It's just
That
true.
performance is you. Anyway, sorry. We got off on a tangent. Sorry.
That's fine. Um, yeah, so I would describe Danny as a lovable psychopath. He describes himself as a fucking ghoul, but how would you both describe him?
Ah, Adam, you.
You know, I I feel like I feel like I would describe Danny as I think he is passionate and has enough belief in his ideals that he is willing to take the next step and follow through. Like that is how much he believes what he believes.
Yeah,
And
he
so
definitely shouldn't go into politics.
no,
That would be bad for everybody.
That dude belongs in an asylum regardless of history. But and I think that's just that, because you don't. One of the things they teach in acting, you don't want to judge the character, and it with Danny, it was a big challenge because this is far and away. I could never do what Danny did. I just don't. I don't have that in me. I get nervous if I say something that's that I interpret could have been like slightly problematic, like some joke or something, and I feel have, like horrible Catholic guilt over it. So taking the steps that Danny did, like I just had a hard time trying to find the justification in it. And I think it's just like he's a firm believer in, these, in his
His ideology.
about like what Halloween is and what it should
Hmm.
be. And so just like diving in that and just not judging is really is kind of how I got into the character. But I feel like with Danny, he's just he's just a true believer in his ideals. So I don't know if but yeah, in another way, he probably is. He's a little nutty. Like that is
Hmm.
a little nutty to want to take it to that degree. Like this is it's supposed to be fun and light. These haunted houses, it's not supposed to be a grueling gauntlet for, paying customers. So,
Hmm.
but yeah. And also I think that he's the ultimate gaslighter too. And that's something that I really
Absolutely.
in every scene is because I didn't want to give away the fact that this is what my plan was going to be. So I really tried to take steps throughout the entire course of filming to try to throw the scent off. Whether it was, through like improvising and just being like lovable and goofy, so you didn't automatically assume that this guy had something to hide. So I absolutely feel like he was a total gaslighter because he had to be. He didn't want to. I don't think he didn't want to, give away the game. This is part of his
Hmm.
plan. So you absolutely have to do what you can to fool people and give them a false sense of security. So yeah.
Yeah. And so to me too, he's the guy that he's the goofy best friend until he's not, you know? He is
Hmm.
Matthew Lillard in Scream. He
Yeah,
is Jack
very
Quaid
Stu.
in Five Cream, you know?
Yeah,
Like
that's funny. That was
Yeah.
the character too. When Jake and I first had a conversation after I read the script, I was like, I see this character as Jack Quaid in Scream 5. And he's like, dude, I totally thought the same way. I like watched that like several weeks ago and I was like, oh my God, Jack Quaid got Dannied. So
I love Jack Quaid. I love that all of his roles pretty much have just been from one psychopath to the other. Like
yeah.
his career's looking great.
Yeah, no, he's incredible. And I just watched Companion, and I thought he
I
was
love
great in that too.
Companion.
Yeah. He is just the when he goes when in Scream 5 when he's like, I know, it's a bummer, it's me. That's what I want the people to feel like when Danny turns out to be the bad guy, you know? And Danny has a little bit more edge to him than Jack in Scream 5.
Hmm.
Like the whole time he's got a little bit more of that haunted house sense of humor. It's a little body. It's a little inappropriate at times. It's got that little haunt edge to it, but it's
Hmm.
still like. And to me, the look on your face when you have to kill Bradford, because he wasn't on your list yet. He was gonna be around until your big night, you know. But like, it just wrong time, wrong place, and the look on your face after that is where I see the most Danny. Like when you look at
Hmm.
your dead friend who you had to kill, you didn't want to yet, and you had to do it, and you just are like, fuck. That's like that's Danny.
Yeah. Speaking of inappropriate humor, when because there's some of that in this movie. When Adam said, not Adam, sorry, when Danny says, "I love your haunt, it's big and scary." How many takes did that take, or did you just do it deadpan, straight face, straight away?
I
That
can't
was an improv. That was an
remember.
ad
That was
lib. That was just at the end of one take. That was that was
I
the
love
end of
that
our
so much
longest
more.
coldest night. And the scene, as written, ends with Tyra. Her character name is not Tyra, that's her actress name,
uh,
Mika. Yeah, with Mika going
Hmm.
back into the house and Bradford just going, I don't want you feeling weird around my haunt. Cut to following morning. But that little pause there, and Adam being like, I love your aunt, it's big and scary is hilarious. And then Steve going, it's all right.
That's literally one of my favorite parts of the whole movie because I'm like that's my kind of humor. That's me and the friendship group.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
That's fun. But yeah, I'm so
That's
glad that made it in the final cut.
yeah, no, me
I,
too, dude. It's like that every time you always outed scenes. You would just keep a scene going until I called cut. It's like you, Sarah, who played um Matilda, our lead,
mhm,
like you, Sarah, Craig, Tommy, these Sid, people would just keep going. They would just keep adding on to the ends of scenes. And I think probably I just liked it too much. Like probably some of that party scene got extended because I just liked so much what you guys were doing. And also like in that lake house, that dance Adam is he's dancing up against Terry. And that's just something he threw in too. And that more than anything, I think, throws people off the Danny scent, you know?
that's only for a couple of seconds because I noticed that no one else is really dancing. It's just a little wiggle randomly.
I
Yeah.
think there's a little extended version in the outtakes. So if
Hmm.
anybody is able to see the outtakes, they yeah, there is I think that I definitely well, I'll take it a little bit further. I'll say that much. I mean,
Hmm.
but it was so much fun. And I will say, I think it was, did we shoot the lake house after the montage in the haunt with Sarah and I, like her first night in the haunt? I feel like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So the lake house was actually the last stuff we shot. We had one more weekend where we shot like a bunch of like October exteriors because we shot at the end of October, like all those exteriors of like pumpkin patches and stuff. Like I
Hmm.
just also just wanted to duck this movie. Like again, it was like, what do I want? If I only get to make one movie, what do I want? And I
Hmm.
want to capture Northern Illinois, Northern suburban Illinois in prime Halloween season. Like that pumpkin festival's real happens every
Hmm.
year. Those are the pumpkin patches in the morning montage that I went to every year, that I take my kid to, that we get our pumpkins at, you know? Like it just I get to put that, and one of them is closed now. It's just gone. Like,
Oh,
and I captured it in its second to last year of existence, and now it's there forever. So like
I
getting to
literally, sorry.
no,
Um,
please.
one of my notes, I literally say that this movie could be used in a time capsule. Like if you was gonna show like the 2020s to someone in 100 years, this movie is like the perfect time capsule for that because you've got mentions of Instagram, there's an OnlyFans model, there's an exhibition guy that's wanting to reclaim the penis as a non-weapon and like there's so much political commentary that's just sort of sandwiched in this fun movie. But if
Thank
if
you.
you was a lecturer and you was trying to teach a class about like thoughts at this political time, like this movie is perfect because it
Oh,
covers so
dude.
much.
I love it. I thank you so much for saying that. Most of our one-star reviews are because people don't like woke conversation in their slasher movies, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I not most of. I won't say most of. Like there's a lot of people who are like I want it to be gorier, you know? And
Hmm.
like I'm very happy with the amount of gore that we got. I think it's a nice mix between the 80s and the current standard of like Terrifier gore. Um like we were never gonna I'm not I'm not a makeup artist myself. I can't do what Damien Leone does with the Terrifier
Hmm.
movies. And I didn't know, I only just got to know makeup artists on this movie. So like
Hmm.
I just planned for what gags made sense for the script, but um it's either people being like, I wish it was gorier, other people being like, the killer reveal was too early just because they're used to the standard slasher timeline.
Hmm.
Or people being like, I hate these people. They're just talking about all this stuff that doesn't
Hmm.
belong in a slasher movie, you know? So, I mean, it's a big risk. I'm very glad it worked for
I
you.
I think I think it does though, like it does belong. Like recently, I've not actually seen it yet, but there's been so much success with Sinners, which I think that's got quite a lot of social and political commentary. Last year there was The Substance, which has also got social commentary. And I think people are only just starting to see horror, specifically in award ceremonies and stuff, that it can be serious. It's not just fun. And even if it is a fun movie, there's still a lot of important aspects in it.
What I like about the two that you just named is that they are, yeah, you can be reading them for their commentary, but they are
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
Substance is fun, dude. It's disgusting, but it's fun.
Hmm.
And it's having a great time. You know, Coraline Farge, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She is having a blast making that movie. And Sinners too. Sinners is incredible. Did you see Sinners, Adam?
I did. I did see
Yeah.
Sinners.
It's just like it's almost like From Dusk Till Dawn in the way that it kind of like spins unexpectedly.
Hmm.
And it I just was captivated by how much fun that movie was having.
Yeah. I see a lot with like horror content creators recently, people that are reviewing movies and stuff. A lot of people are saying that horror is becoming too serious, too political, too boring. Because the last couple of years, grief has been an ongoing film with
Oh
quite a
yeah.
few horror movies. But even going back to movies in the 80s and even earlier, like They Live, that's like one of the most social commentary filled movies ever. But the is it the second Nightmare on Elm Street where allegedly it's about the main character being like closeted homosexual,
Yeah.
and like that was such a big thing at that time for that to release. So horror's always been important and political. I think people are only just starting to catch on to that, but it's always like Stephen King said, the scariest thing we can imagine is like ourselves and our own society and things. And I think that
Yeah.
like that's really true. And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's less like when it's in such a part of the story, like how disposable like women become as they age in like entertainment in the entertainment industry. Like that's part
Hmm.
of the themes. But we have characters say like talking in like, modern therapy speak, essentially, like about their
Hmm.
intentions and everything. And I think that rubs certain people who are big in the although you can't everybody hates everything new is eventually.
Yeah.
I really liked the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. It was just
Hmm.
Texas I call it the Netflix Chainsaw Massacre, but like it like that has a bunch of people talking in, millennium speak, Gen Z speak, talking about wanting to build a community, talking about like their feelings and overanalyzing themselves in a way that like a lot of internet people do. And
Hmm.
people just like a big contingent of the horror community, at least in America, I don't know how it is where you are, but like don't want to see those people. Don't put
Yeah,
them
they
in my
don't like
movies.
change.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I also just wanted to like reflect the world that I see with, and especially if like a lot of our cast was going to be young, that's just kind of going to be part of the way that they talk about the world.
Hmm. So in the final scene when Danny is talking about his reasons for what he's doing and is talking about the harvest and the sacrifice and things, was that just made up or is that from some actual folklore that you found somewhere?
I no, that's just made up. I actually wanted to I looked into a lot of like the lore, and to me too, my opinion of it is like I could only find like evidence or reports of like animal sacrifice. That's as far as like
Hmm.
I could find that people would take it back in the day. And to me, I think that's perfect because I think Danny's wrong. I think Danny's belief is embedded in like a history that he wants to believe instead of a history that actually was, you know? That's just my opinion, though. I shouldn't be like,
Hmm.
you're Danny. I shouldn't be telling you. I shouldn't be creating internal lore for you.
I this is that's the beauty of film. It's a collaboration. We have, this back and forth of ideas and philosophies and stuff. So no, I think that you have in a lot of ways, you have as much latitude to comment on Danny as I do. So for what it's
You
worth.
lived you lived with him though, you know? I just
Yeah, but you created him. I was just going off of what, of what all of the lovely, context that you put in your script. So I feel like that gives you just as much, but I think that gives you enough
Mhm.
reason to kind of, analyze where he's coming from myself for what it's worth.
Cool.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So,
I think that that monologue was just, oh, that was so fun. I love doing it.
mhm.
So great. I like that was like and I worked so like again, I know I mentioned this already, but I worked so long in that monologue. And I actually brought in a fake like switchblade knife during my audition so I could because they didn't I don't think they anticipated it, but I pulled this thing out of my pocket and then I switch it and the blade comes out and then I just start going at my hand. And I don't know I didn't never bother to ask what y'all like what y'all
It's
thought.
great. Love
Okay.
that. Yeah, of course.
Got you the role, my dude. No.
True method acting.
But yeah, so I thought that was a little fun. I never bother asking what y'all thought about, like, holy shit, what is Adam gonna do with that? That blade he pulling out of his pocket. But yeah, that was that is quite a monologue, I will say.
So I've just got three questions left, if that's okay, because I don't want to
Yeah,
take up
no.
too much of your guys' time.
I could do this all
No,
day.
I'm having a blast.
I could literally, well, I do talk about horror all day, I'm not gonna lie. Um, so yeah, another question for Jake Jarvi. You are becoming the king of seasons with your movie making at the minute because you've got Haunt Season, which is a Halloween slasher, and then your current movie is X's of Christmas Past. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the Christmas season. So are we going to be expecting a sort of Easter Bunny massacre, Valentine's Day massacre?
So
Is there going to
X's
be any more holiday specific? Oh, a Thanksgiving too.
right. I which I loved. I thought Eli Roth did a great job fleshing out Thanksgiving from a trailer
That
into an
opening
actual.
scene was insane.
Yeah,
Like
it
the
was.
lady's hair stuck to the shopping trolley. Oh,
But I also feel like the entire rest of the movie felt very 90s slasher cycle, which I just like that's like a warm bath to me. I love all those 90s slashers.
it was like
Um,
Scream fan fiction.
yeah, or like, like it felt like another like urban legend or like
Mm-hmm.
one of the Scream knockoffs that kind of, it felt so I loved it. I don't know that we're going to be doing another like a different holiday at this point.
Mm-hmm.
X is a Christmas Past is actually like a Christmas
A
rom-com. It's
rom-com.
not a
Yeah.
horror movie at all. But it's like we just found aspects of like things that we love and got luck ended up getting plugged into marketplaces that are always hungry, you know? Horror is a marketplace that's always hungry, Christmas rom-coms, and we love both of those. And so it just made sense for us to kind of we did the horror one, let's do this one. I did
Mm-hmm.
like I Eliza, my wife, producer, co-writer of X's, we did have a idea for a Christmas rom-com slasher called Fresh Cut for Christmas about like a slasher in a Christmas tree lot, but we kind of stopped developing that and now are just like we're looking at doing our next horror movie after X's is all put to bed, and we don't have any like direct plans on like when it would happen. We need to the whole financing of a movie is like a whole thing that happens.
Yeah.
It's always such a wild headache, and we've been very very lucky two times. I don't know how often or like with what frequency we're going to be able to like churn movies out, but the next one would be
Mm-hmm.
a camp slasher, a summer camp slasher, because I love those too, and I would love to take everything that we learned on Haunt Season because in a lot of ways I took what I learned in Haunt Season is like I did certain things that I went against certain things that slashers always do. And I wanted to see
Mm-hmm.
how it would work if I didn't do all the things that slashers always do. And now I would like to try leaning on some more of the expected ideas within the slasher. There's still a little few twists that Eliza actually came up
Mm-hmm.
with. She came up with a very cool camp slasher idea that I'd never heard of before. But like, I want to like spend more time like in the horror sequences this time, with people
Mm-hmm.
knowing that they're being hunted because so much of haunt season happens without people knowing that they're being hunted. You know?
Yeah. So more of a sort of Hatchet-esque. if you've seen the Hatchet movies.
Yeah, more of a Friday the 13th kind of vibe. I like the Hatchet
Hmm.
movies too, but like not like we wouldn't be doing the straight up comedy version the way that Adam Green
Yeah,
does with the
yeah.
Hatchets. Yeah. There would be
Um,
comedy from the characters, but not in that same not in
Not a
that
straight up
it's
comedy.
almost like a parody kind of horror movie and how big and over the top those kills get. This will be a little more grounded than that, but yeah,
Yeah.
I Adam's Friday the 13th lover too. We went to a marathon at the Music Box of like the first eight. We didn't get to stay for all of them, but it was
Hmm.
great to see him on the big screen.
Oh, I'm so jealous. As you said about movie funding and stuff, I do get a lot of independent horror movie creators reach out to me on Instagram and asking me to share their upcoming movies and stuff, try and help them get funding. So if you, little plug, if you have any friends that are making any horror movies or when you're making your next one, I will happily share it on Instagram, try and get you the because you always have like target goals, don't you, when you need people to tip
Yeah, no,
and
and
you
we really
can
appreciate just your review of
hmm
Haunt Season was one of our favorites. I just like it's such a joy to read when somebody like puts that kind of thought and captures that kind of enjoyment of the thing that you made. It was so lovely to see. So thank you so much for that review.
well, thank you. And Adam's the king of editing with his little fancy edit he did. I don't
Yeah,
know how you do that.
I
I
I
loved it.
it's one of my superpowers, from what my wife says. So I love doing it, and it was so much fun to read your review and just pick out little snippets and then put Jake's awesome footage in there. It was so much fun putting that together. Yeah, and I'm just really grateful. Like to Jake's point, it's really great when you get a review where somebody gets it.
Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
just and because it's got a lot going on, and I mean I'm biased, but I love it. It's such a fun movie. It's such a fun movie, and it's just really great to see people discover it. And now that we're getting into spooky movie season soon, although for all of us, spooky movie season doesn't really end.
All
Yeah, it
year
never
round.
ends. But it's so
Hmm.
fun when everybody joins us for a month, you know?
Yeah. For 1 month, you're not a weirdo. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that more people like yourselves, discover the movie and really enjoy it.
Hmm.
Had a lot of it feels very much like a throwback, and that's what I really really love about it is that it is a type of horror movie that is not as prevalent now as they used to be, and it was just fun to be able to do one because again, I
Yeah.
stuff. I loved, just the horror movies, the 80s and 90s where you had these really, these fun characters that were real charismatic, and then to watch them just kind of all get, slaughtered one by one and just kind of see what happens. It's just like it is unadulterated fun.
Hmm.
So, and I hope more people, like you, discover the movie and feel that same way.
Me
Yeah,
too.
again, I said it in my review, and I'm not just saying it because I'm talking to you guys, but it's literally the most fun movie I've seen this year. I'd say
Buddy.
second most fun is probably Companion. There was a lot of fun parts of that, but
Yeah.
yeah, like I, to be honest, I didn't see anybody else talking about it. I didn't see any
Yeah.
marketing for it. It's probably because I am in the UK, obviously. Where you are, it was probably promoted a little bit more. Um, but yeah, we literally just stumbled on it on Amazon, and I'm a slut for like haunt house movies. Like anything that's of that genre, I'm gonna watch it, even if
Awesome.
it's reviewed as bad, I'll give it a go. And it was so fun.
Thank you so
Like
much.
it's been a couple of months, and I still tell everybody to go watch it. Like my end of year roundup, like it's still probably going to be in my top three movies I've seen this year.
You're the best.
Thank you. Um, but yeah, my final two questions to you both as horror fans. Which horror movie are you both most excited for that's coming out this year? What are you
What's
most
coming up?
anticipating?
What's coming up? I always like forget what is coming up.
Yeah, me too. I'm racking my brain trying to.
I'm just gonna Google
Mm,
real quick.
Okay.
yeah, gonna say
Horror
I can start
movies.
with mine if it helps
Yes,
give you a
please.
bit of time. I'm really excited for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein that's going to
Oh
be on
yeah.
Netflix. I am so excited. I love
Yeah.
a monster movie. Like lovers of the goth genre are like eating well this year. Like we've had Nosferatu, which I wasn't a big fan of, and a lot of people weren't happy with my review. But I still appreciated it. And then there's going to be a new Dracula story releasing as well.
Okay.
And
Oh, okay. So, there's gonna be, of course, there's gonna be a new I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I
mhm.
will be very excited to see. The trailers for Weapons have been wild.
Their marketing is insane.
Yeah, and I just love I loved Barbarian so much. I cannot wait to
Mhm.
see what this movie actually is, you know? And I'm a sucker for so p speaking of movies having fun, I'm gonna see Megan 2.0. I just really enjoyed the first one. I think that that kind of like that kind of horror attitude where it's that or it's like Malignant, like when James Wan is doing his old
Mhm.
VHS style, like these are the movies that these are pizza party movies, you know?
Yeah.
And so Megan 2.0, I'm very excited to see that too.
Yeah. I definitely am going to piggyback on Weapons. That looks fun. I haven't seen the latest Final Destination. I still want to see that. That looks like
Dude, I just saw
I
it.
need to see that.
It's
yeah.
good, guys. It's good. You know, FD, Final Destination. So like when Adam and I started hanging out, it was because every Halloween I would do a video where we would time lapse a movie marathon. Like we would watch an
Mhm.
entire franchise in a single sitting. So I started with Nightmare, I did Friday, all that. The one that Adam first came to was Final Destination, and we watched all five. And that is a franchise that's just fun to sit down and watch. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
really ever crater the way that a lot of horror franchises do, and crater in a good way. But like if you're watching them all in a single day, it can kind of get to be a slog if they're just going to kind of like hit the same beats over and over again. FD felt fresh all day, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Four
thought
is
it
a
was.
little rough, but like other than that, and this one captures that spirit so well. And of course the like machinations of each kill are just the star of the show, but like I also like these characters and they're fun to hang out with, so good on them.
Mhm.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool to piggyback on the Final Destination night marathon you did. But one of the Final Destination producers commented on your video.
On that
Did
video, yeah.
like the coolest thing ever?
Yeah, it was great. I like so every once in a while someone will find someone who associated with the franchise. The only two times that I can remember off the top of my head were the producer, I think his name's Craig. He commented as someone who, you know, produced all these movies. It's really fun to watch people like get a chance to like watch people watch them, which was
Mhm.
great. And then the only other time, unfortunately, was Shelley from Friday the 13th, Part 3. I kind of badmouthed him during the marathon, and he tweeted at me.
Oh,
Oh
And
no.
I
my
felt
God, I didn't know that.
so bad. I felt so bad. That was like the second or third year we ever did it. And so after that, I just, you know, I knew to kind of like take it easy on the actors. It's not that, you know, like Shelley got plugged into a rough kind of characterization in that movie.
Mhm.
And that's not his fault. That's not his fault.
The most recent horror movie release in England is 28 Years Later. It came out 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
Yeah,
See
I
that.
just saw it.
Um, yeah, I'm so excited to see it.
Dude, it's good. It's
What?
good. And so like when I say like modern audiences hate everything, it's because they started loving these movies when they were a kid and they felt so revolutionary when they were kids. So like anything they see now is not going to feel revolutionary. They've seen too much. So all of
Mhm.
the all of the smack talk that I've been hearing, or maybe it's just my social media that hates it. I don't have no access to any other, like the people who were like, "What? I have nothing good to say about 28 years later." It's like, dude, just how can you what is there to why do you do this if you don't like movies anymore, you know?
Mhm.
It's like
From
Danny Boyle is still trying new interesting stuff with
mhm.
great actors and really involving stories, and I can't wait to see they've already shot the next one too.
Yeah, they filmed them simultaneously. From what I've seen, the Rotten Tomatoes score was really good. The critics love it, but actual real normal people. No one seems to like it. I've seen so many negative reviews.
I just
But
don't know what it is. I don't know what people want out of things if they're gonna like that movie does everything that it's not your standard zombie movie, but it also shouldn't be. I mean, 28 days later wasn't. 28 weeks
yeah,
later wasn't. You know, like if all people want to see is the same thing over and over again, then don't go
yeah.
see a movie by an innovator.
I mean, Danny Boyle's very particular about the fact that they're not zombies anyway. They are infected, so it's like it's not going to follow typical zombie movies because they're infected. It's an infected movie.
Exactly. It's a rage virus. It's not the same
Hmm.
thing.
But
But I
yeah,
highly recommend. I highly recommend.
yeah, I've seen quite a few spoilers by now because people have to spoil everything. But yeah, I'm interested in an American's perspective in it because I know one of the characters in it is symbolic of someone that was massive in British culture.
Okay.
You guys
So
probably got no idea who he is.
I did not know, but my favorite podcast, Blank Check with Griffin and David, they did all of Danny Boyle's films. So when this came out, they did a I haven't been able to go to the theater that much with like the movie, and I have a kid, and
Hmm.
like summer, so we like get to go out and do things in the Midwest. We really treasure getting outside during this summer. Um
Hmm.
but because they did an episode on it, I had to go and see it immediately so I could listen to their episode. So
Hmm.
um, they explained who that was because to me, watching the movie before without any context, I didn't know that they were supposed to look like somebody in particular. But the fact
Hmm.
that they all kind of matched each other. Oh, wait. Okay, never mind. This is starting to be spoilery. I'm gonna stop. I'll stop.
I haven't seen it yet, but I was like, I'm going to let Jake go. I'm just like,
I
yes.
will just say that it works for me as a beat in a movie. That works without knowing who they're modeled after,
Okay.
Yeah,
because it's a gang, and that's all you
yeah.
need. That's all it is. It's
They're
like
just a gang of weirdos.
yeah, it's like if the Warriors. Anyway, I'll stop talking. I'll stop talking. No spoilers. Go see it. It's good.
Yeah. So, my final question is, what is your, both of yours, perfect movie viewing experience? Do you prefer to go to the theatre or do you prefer to watch it at home? Are you a snack kind of person? Are you like a hot snacks, like hot dogs and nachos, cold snacks like sweets? Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I just find it interesting that people, because one of my friends, her favorite viewing experience is like snuggled up in bed with her laptop in the dark with her earphones in. I
Yeah.
watched the autopsy of Jane Doe. I don't know if you've seen
Oh
it. It's
my
insane.
God. That movie is terrifying if you're alone and especially in headphones. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I watched it like that and I was like, I kind of need to go to the toilet, but I don't want to get out of bed and turn the light on.
Yeah.
And I don't scare easily, but oof,
That
yeah.
movie's incredible. Autopsy of Jane Doe is, man, I was so glad when, I don't know, do you guys have Joe Bob and Darcy over there? Do you have Shudder?
Yeah, I've got Shudder.
Okay, so do
I'm
you,
not sure if that was on our Shudder, but
okay, well, so Joe Bob Briggs is like a movie reviewer and he
mhm,
just brings movies and he like breaks them up into and that tells you context of the movies and the times and the creators and everything. And when they did, and they, I was so happy they did Autopsy of Jane Doe because it's one of those ones where like it felt like not everybody was watching it, and it brought so much more attention to it, and that
mhm.
is truly a terrifying, like kind of like Oculus. It fucks with your mind, and it's like scary. I love that movie so much. Oh,
If you've
but
not
Adam,
seen it, I'd like absolutely watch it. It's so good.
what's your favorite movie way to experience a movie, my man?
Oh, there's something about seeing a movie with a group of people in a movie
Mm,
theater. Just I'm such
mm,
a traditionalist that way. I think probably the most entertaining movie that I saw in the theater was at the Brew and View here in Chicago. They shown the full length of Grindhouse, and watching that with with just a roaring theater, people that were just like in it and love it. It was just so entertaining. And I love watching movies in my, the comfort of my own home, but there is something about the group experience of it and just having that experience with everybody else where just, the film unfolds and like you get these awesome beats that happen, and then you just get these awesome payoffs that we all just can sit there and just like howl at and just love. Just this is something that just it doesn't quite beat that for me.
Same. I like especially in like huge theaters like the Music Box in Chicago. We keep talking about the Music Box. It's just one of the most incredible places. But like
Hmm.
where people go, the people who are going there, and especially to like revival screenings, like I went to see Scream 2 there, like they're doing Dream Warriors, dude, at the
All
end of
right.
next month.
Yeah,
End of
I
next month.
one of my friends told me that. I need to actually get on tickets.
Yeah, I've got my ticket. I'm going. And so it's
All right.
like when you get a group of people who are there to have a great time, and they all, especially if they've all known the movie before, like
Hmm.
just that reaction is so infectious and huge, and you feel how much love there is for the thing on the screen, like
Hmm.
surrounded by people who also love it. And it's just, it does not get better. And at the music box, I'll take a beer with it and I'll take a popcorn. And that's what I'm gonna do. And
Nice.
yeah.
I feel that I'm going to a horror convention in October, and the opening night they do a movie screening where they normally show two different movies. And this year they're doing the original Halloween, and Nick Castle's one of the guests at the convention. So
Awesome.
he's going to be doing a commentary during the screening, and I'm so excited.
That's amazing. That's
Hmm.
amazing.
Oh,
Jealous.
I'm so jealous. I'm green with envy right now. So
Yeah,
cool.
you have some amazing horror conventions in the US though. Like I would, if I could afford it, I'd literally come to America tomorrow. I'd love to go to like Halloween horror nights,
Oh,
all the cool
dude.
cinemas. Like he was literally showing Jaws for the 50th anniversary the other day. I saw a post where it was like an outdoor cinema,
I
and
went to one of those.
was you on one of the floaty things? There was people on like
Yeah.
floaty donut things. Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, so when we had a web series that went to Austin Web Fest back, I don't know, 10, 11 years ago, and it coincided with a Alamo Drafthouse screening of Jaws on the Water. So like they had the inflatable screen out on the thing, and we all got in inner tubes, beer in hand, and watched Jaws in inner tubes. And it is so, so fun.
Hmm. I bet that was amazing.
Yeah. And Halloween Horror Nights too. Like it's that's not like a convention, but it's so good. And even just going through the houses because the set design is done by, like professional set designers who
Hmm.
try to capture the environment and turn it into you're walking through a horror movie at Universal Studios, and it's like
Yeah.
so incredible. But even outside of the scare houses, because I get really scared when people jump out at me. I there's a my latest video on my Instagram is this guy haunt scene. He followed us, not haunt scene, but he goes to all the haunted houses. He followed me and Janet through this haunted house that we just went to in Wisconsin, and you see how terrified I am going through there. And so going through the haunt house is kind of like is really scary, but then the rest of the park is just a bunch of horror environments and
Hmm.
vibes, and you're just walking through Halloween horror movie vibes. It's the best.
I would love that. Um, but yeah, I would literally like come to America tomorrow to experience all the spooky stuff if I could.
Yeah.
The UK is not big on spooky. It's not big on Halloween. It's got better in the last few years, but yeah, we're still quite far behind, which is sad.
Well, you're keeping it alive. You're
Yeah,
carrying the torch.
trying. Um, but yeah, if you ever do haunt season two across the pond and you record like filming in England, I'll sign up. Like you can like chain me to a wall, scalp me. I don't mind. Like
Perfect.
I would love, yeah,
I look forward to it.
So fun.
do some behind the scenes filming.
Cool.
But yeah, thank you both so much for this interview.
No, thank you for
Um,
having us. This is so much fun.
Yeah,
thank
this is so
you.
entertaining. It's this I love just being able to talk horror movies with,
I
with
love it. I'm actually like a spoiler, but so next month I'm starting a blog. I'm going old school. I'm gonna start typing up some reviews and stuff. And then I'm
Nice.
hoping either the month after or a little bit after to actually start a proper podcast.
Cool.
Um, yeah, because I just want to sit and chat about horror movies. So
It's the best.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so grateful that like part of your format here today for the first one was discussing so much outside of our movie, just about other horror movies, because that's a conversation like Adam's one of the guys in my life who I do talk to horror about, but like
Hmm.
he lives in the city and I live in the suburbs and we don't get to hang out that much because we got kids, you know? Like
I
I
feel that.
these are the conversations that I adore, and I don't have a lot of people around me to who want to chat horror. So thank you for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Well, that's actually why I started my social media like reviewing and things because I moved out of my hometown and moved to where I am now to be closer to my little one's grandparents because this is where all my partner's family live. So obviously I've left all my friends. I'm a stay-at-home mum, so I can't go to work and meet friends. I could go to mum and baby clubs and meet other mums, but like other mums don't tend to like horror. So I'm like, I just had to find a group of weirdos on the internet to chat to instead. But yeah, that's how I got like properly into it. Like I've always posted my horror collection and stuff. But yeah, I
That's
just wanted the
awesome.
sort of community aspect of
Yeah.
chatting to people about horror.
Yeah. Well, it was a blast. So thank you so much.
Yeah, 100%. And I
Well,
can't wait to see, everything else that you have coming down the pike too.
thank you. So I'll just share your Instagram handles for anyone watching this to follow. So Jake Jarvi is at Janks37. I believe
Hmm.
that's right.
That's correct.
And Adam Hinckle is at A R Hinckle. That's how to
Mhm.
say.
Yep. Yes.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
And most of the screenings that we do, things like that, they all get promoted through the Instagrams. So, yeah, we never really made, is one for haunt season, but we just didn't do a ton with it. We kind of just keep it on the personal accounts. So,
Hmm.
yeah, just check us out and
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so
please
much.
leave reviews on Letterboxd like Spooky Fox Horror did
Absolutely.
because it was so wonderful and led to such a fun time.
Yeah. Thank